So before you build something advanced with glass windows and 3 stories high with NPCs and everything else, you're going to have to start somewhere. So this is a simple 2x2 structure with your basic thatch roof that I've built here. I lived out of this while I was building that one, and I've turned it into a bee hut now. Over here I have placed blueprints for a couple of different easy starter builds depending on what you're looking for. This one and that one, they're 4x4, and this is a 2x2 with your standard roof pieces. I've done just the flat roof, the wooden ceilings, the wooden floor pieces for ceilings over here. So this one is only 1 wall high. This one is 1 1/3 high, and that's for a specific reason. It's for storage. So you have these storage racks. You have to unlock them in your tech tree. You need some engineering, and I think it takes a couple planks to unlock them. They are 1 wall high. So if you want to fit that third box, you're going to have to either build 1 1/3 high, or like I've done here with the roof pieces, I've built with the 45-degree angles, and I've moved the boxes away from the wall a little bit. I've moved the storage rack as I've placed it. So I've just done that by selecting it from the build menu, and then if you hold Alt and use your scroll wheel, you can move it back and forth. So you just want to make sure that you're placing it somewhere where you can fit all those boxes if you want to go that route. Otherwise, you can place these anywhere. And later you can unlock more storage options. These iron boxes do hold a little bit more. The other option you have is these wardrobes. They're very short and they hold quite a bit. So that's another good option. So you need to decide how high you want to build your building, and if you want to do storage on the racks, or however you want to do it, if you want to use wardrobes for storage. The other thing that you need to be aware of while you're building is structural integrity in this game, and No One Survived, is very important. I'm standing here, I'm colliding with 3 of the foundations. I'm trying to delete something. I'm going to accidentally delete this wooden foundation, and my entire building is gone. Now if that were built, the same thing would happen, but everything would fall crumbling around you. All the stuff that you had built on the foundations will crumble around you and fall to the floor. It's a mess. So just be careful where you're standing. So for your 4x4 or your 2x2, whatever you want to do, you have to build from the bottom up. So I'm going to I've got my building hammer, middle mouse button to open the build menu. I'm going to go to structure. You can select from these different options here. You would go to floor, wooden foundation. I'm going to use my scroll wheel to straighten this out in front of me. I can use shift, hold shift and middle mouse button, scroll wheel to raise and lower it. I think I'll put it right about there. And then I could use control. It's supposed to be left and right offset, but because I have the foundation turned, it goes the opposite way. So when the logs are parallel to you, that menu down there at the bottom right makes sense. When you turn it sideways and the planks, the grooves, and the foundation are perpendicular to you, then it's going to do the reverse. Same with Alt. If I hold Alt, it's supposed to go front and backwards, but because I've got the thing turned, it's going left and right. If I turn it back the correct orientation, it will go front and rear. So you'll just have to pay attention to which way you have this swiveled and which button you're using. This is honestly more helpful when you're trying to place things like storage boxes and workbenches and your bed and cooking stations and things like that. But I'm going to go ahead and just place that one there. I can use scroll wheel to connect a couple of them. If I'm looking at one, that's where it will snap to, so I can add those. If I look at this one, I can add that one. Same here. Scroll wheel. So that was pretty fast for a 3x4. I think I'll go ahead and add the extra row on this side. So next is going to be continuing from the ground up. We're going to do these wooden posts. So if we do your simple build, we don't do the 1 1/3. It's really easy. I need posts to connect my walls to. That's ultimately what they're for besides structural integrity, is somewhere for the wooden walls to snap. See, I don't have any posts here, so these walls won't go, but they will attach to that beam there, which means at bare minimum, I need a post on this inner right corner of this one, and or the left corner, and then this corner of that one there. And now I would be able to place my walls everywhere on this side. So if we follow the same thing, so I'm going to the middle two, I'm putting them in the middle, and I'm looking at the foundation when I'm doing this, and it's automatically snapping into those corners. I've got my little white dot pointed at the foundations, and they are snapping to the foundations. So now we've got that structure placed. We need these cross beams. These beams, 4x1 here, is going to span across the whole length and width of our base because we did a 4x4. So I can look at and target this beam here and use scroll wheel to move it around and connect it, which ends up being a lot faster than running over and looking at whichever side you need it to be placed on. So now this would be the point where we would have already had our 1/3 built if we were going to build that way, and then we would have put those cross beams, these ones, on top of the 1/3, like you can see here. And sometimes when you can't reach something, going into first person by hitting V, which is the default key binding, is a little bit easier. You should be able to reach a little bit further, and you can reach a little bit further with your building hammer and actually fill in these pieces as well. So if we continue with our build, we're going to want to get the walls up. So I'm going to place my walls first. I want a door here. So I open my build menu, I go to structure, I go to wall. Here's my wooden wall door frame. Place that there. I'm going to put a window on either side of the door, and the rest I'm going to put in walls. So the easiest way to do this is to look at the foundation, and it snaps right to it. If I look anywhere else, it's going to be a little tricky, but I'm looking right at the foundation. I'm looking down. I've got my little white dot pointed down, and they're snapping right onto those foundations. There's 2 more, and that's good to go. Next, because I've added some height to my base, I'm going to need some stairs. So structure, stairs, we have a couple options. There's these stairs, and you can move these with the control and center them in your door frame if you want. I normally go for these wooden stairs right there. And then we can add our doors. So these are also structure, wall, they exist here, but they're also in this long list of things, like everything else. So wall, wooden door, and I'm going to look at the door frame, and it will snap inside. Same with the windows. We have these wooden shutters, glass windows, we have iron gates, there's also a glass door. I'm going to go ahead and grab some wooden windows since this is a starter base and we don't have any of the advanced supplies yet. So now when we go to do the ceilings, I'm just going to do flat floor pieces. So I will grab these wooden floors, and I'm going to go first person. It will just be a little bit easier for you to see. They will connect to these beams that we've placed there. So if I look straight onto it, it'll have this straight on pattern. If I look to the side, it will rotate it. So the way to get all of these to face the same way is to look at the one that you previously placed in the right orientation. So I want that one there, like that. See, as long as I'm looking at it, it will go the right way. But you'll notice this one's red. This one doesn't connect to a beam, so we're going to have to add more of these beams down the center here. That way we can place the floors. So now I should be able to place that one and that one. And I'm looking at that one and it's placed it in the correct orientation. If I turn, you can see that they're not facing the same way. So I just look at the one that I previously placed and it will copy the orientation. And there we go. We have a roof. So that's your simple 4x4. You also have the option to delete walls. That will not ruin anything. Deleting a wall will not ruin anything at all. So you could extend your base this way. It's also super easy to add the wall back in, no problem. For the 1 1/3, these ones up here, these ones exist under structure and wall. You have a couple options: wood, stone, brick, and glass. If we grab the wood ones and we look at the top of the wall beneath it, it will automatically snap. So that makes it a little easier to place those. And, you know, like I said, just beware, structural integrity is very important. If I delete a wall that has some very necessary supports on it, everything around it is going to fall. And also, just the same way that we built it from the ground up is the same way that you'll fill it in. So these foundations need to be filled in before you build anything that sits on them. All of these posts will come next. Once those are filled in, you can build the beams. Also, once the foundations and the beams are built, you can build the walls. It just is the same way that we place stuff is basically the same way that you'll fill it in. Otherwise, you're going to get no load-bearing structure when you try to add in the resources. But I think that those are some pretty simple builds that you can start off with. You can obviously go as large or as small as you'd like. You don't need walls. You could do... I fell in love with building cabanas, so I have a very large smelting cabana that I built over here. I had to place some scaffolding to get the glass placed up there, and if that's something that you run into an issue with while you're building, is just open your build menu, go to outdoor. Very first thing is scaffolding, and this is unlocked as soon as you load into the game. You don't have to do anything extra. Couple planks and some sticks, and you can place them on top of each other as high as you want to go, as long as it's green and you're able to place it there. And that will help you reach the tops of the large buildings later. So, if you have any questions, or you're interested in some more advanced building techniques, or how to get materials for certain things that you see built here, feel free to ask questions down below, or you could check out my website. It's linked in the description box. It's 313vgaming.com.